Well, my name is Dorothy Lubberts, and today is April 24, 2025. I was born on April 10th, 1929. I went to South High School, but never got to graduate. After the ninth grade, I never went beyond that. I had a few odd jobs. I went to work with the farmers. I worked at the Coopsville peanut butter factory, and later on even went to work at Nash Calvinator. At that time, the boys came home from the service, and us girls had to give up our jobs so the boys could work. My maiden name was Valkema. My dad came from the Netherlands when he was 13 or 14, but my mother was born in the U.S. I was raised in a Christian home. We always had a close family, very loving and a lot of prayers, but we were poor. It was during the Depression. My dad was a huckster. He had a Model T truck with curtains on the side. He went to the market on Saturday morning and would buy produce, then take it around in his truck and sell it. We raised chickens and rabbits. We had 3 sisters and 3 brothers. They always thought my oldest sister was my mother because she had children who were older than I was. I met my husband Ray when he came home from service. He had been in the Army serving as military policeman. His family went to one church and I went to another one. After church, the guys always rode around in their cars, and that's how I met. He was a semi-professional baseball player. He played at all big places in Grand Rapids. One day he stopped by the house, and asked if I wanted to go golfing with him. I said, I don't know anything about golfing. And he said, well, I'm going to teach you. We went golfing, and that afternoon he said, do you want to go with me to the baseball game with me? I have to pitch tonight. So I said, yes, I can, but I had to ask my mother about the time whether it was safe. So I went and just kept going out. I didn't know his family, but his sister lived across the street from me. His parents came from the Netherlands, and they still spoke Dutch in the home. We went on a honeymoon to Chicago in 1948. Ray's Uncle Garrett wanted us to come, and he paid for it. He was a bachelor uncle and had a lot of money. I don't remember much about Chicago, but it was a big city. Uncle Garrett knew Chicago well, so he showed us around. Uncle Garrett had been very generous with his nephews. He had taken them, Ray and his brother John, to the Netherlands. When we first got married, we lived with my mother on Clyde Park Avenue. His family lived 2 streets over. Ray continued his semi-professional career after we married, and we traveled quite a bit. Both he and his brother John were pitchers. He pitched for Sullivan's Field, which was his home field. He played for the Brand Brothers and the W.H. Clark. They even traveled out of state. I still have his professional baseball uniform. I remember little Ray attended a lot of the games. He quit before Jillian was born in 1956. Later, he coached the Little League here in Coopersville and coached both of the boys. Ray was a lineman for Consumers Power Company, and his job was out here. We had our own home in Kelligsville, but wanted to move to Coopersville because of his job. We needed to have a new house built, and we wanted it brick home. We knew builders from our church, but figured we would be better to get local builders who would know more about the area. So in 1961, we built this house on Henry Street. This area was called the Lemmen Addition, and Bernie Lemmen owned a lot of property. We bought it from him. We purchased a lot and a half, and later we bought another half a lot from the Camps. So we have 2 lots there. Here, our builders were Ed Vanderkolk and Gay Grosenbacher. We weren't connected by working at the school, but all of our neighbors around us were connected somehow. It was a gravel road when we moved here and was considered country. When the city expanded to include Henry Street, we were given a new address. At that time we moved in, our neighbors were the Bushmans, the Vasellas, the Noes, and the Fineweavers, and both Camps families were on the corners. We figured the area was pretty safe. Our kids had to walk to school because there was no bus. So either they had to walk or often we would carpool with the other neighbors to bring them. We were immediately involved in the community. Ray was always involved in sports, so anytime there was something to do with sports, he was there. We became involved with the Coopersville Reformed Church and made that our home. We met friends there. We were very close with Kurt and Mel Vinnegan's family because we had kids the same age. When the Church of the Savior was built in 1967, we went to that church and have been there since. I'm the oldest person in the church. I remember the centennial Coopersville celebrated in 1971. Ray grew a beard and a mustache. Jake Bushman played our old pump organ in one of the parades. Consumers Power was east of where Adam's generator is now. Ray had a truck that he always kept at home. Either he'd get a call on our home phone or a call on the radio in his truck. Any time of the day or night, he'd get a call and he'd have to go. Whether it was a car that hit a pole or a storm, he was very busy. If there was an outage in another area, he'd have to go, sometimes overnight. The Coopersville office closed a few years before Ray retired. He would have to drive into Grand Rapids in the last few years to pick up his equipment. If the kids had anything going on at the school, I would be there. I was a room mother for all the kids. We bought treats in the school, cupcakes, all kinds of homemade treats. If the kids had a trip, I was with them. I have many friends yet, many of them who are deceased, that I met through school functions. Across the street from me is the Christian Reformed Church that was built in 1958. I remember when it burned, 1985. We had a bad storm that night with a lot of lightning and the fire engines went by. I remember going to the window and screaming to Ray, "The church is on fire." It was really blazing. It had been struck by lightning. I was in a lot of golf leagues. I have trophies and a silver plate for being the champion. I loved to golf. I'd be golfing all day and Ray would come home at night and want to go golfing at night. But he'd say, "You probably don't want to because you've been golfing all day." No, I wanted to go some more, so we'd go out again. It's funny because our first date with Ray was when he taught me how to golf. My daughter Jolene doesn't like to golf, but My granddaughter Annie is a golfer. The Seaville Swim Club was a large part of our early years here. We worked hard to make it happen and were members from the beginning. All my kids had their jobs there. Ray was a lifeguard and Jolene worked in the office and made lots of friends through the pool. We were involved in square dancing. We went on all the dancing with the club. I learned how to square dance just by watching others. Carrie Harris Snowden's father was the instructor. We had a lot of fun going out with the group. After dancing, we went out to eat. You know, we always had to eat. When we went to Florida, then we was big dancers on Saturday night, but they were hoedown dancing. You didn't need the fancy clothes like square dancing. My son Ray enjoyed football. He became a quarterback in school and went on to Hope College as a quarterback. He tested out of entry-level classes, so he graduated a year ahead of his class. When he finished college, he went on to the University of Michigan to become a dentist. He went to attend UCLA to become an orthodontist, but he had to have a residency in California. So he went to the mission field in Korea for 6 months. When he came back, he was officially a resident. We were able to visit him in Korea. He has retired from his practice in California and is married with 2 boys and 6 grandchildren. Jolene graduated from Coopersville High School. She attended Grand Valley College for a short time, but she always wanted to be a jockey at the racetrack. We carted her to Kentucky several times. She was an exercise rider, and we went to watch her many times. We were scared to death and held our breath, but that's what she loved. We stayed in close communication with her always. We knew exactly where she was. She went to racetracks all over for 3 years, but she came back and was the same sweet gal she always was. When she came home, we went downtown to the Coopersville Summerfest. Somehow she saw John Whitman, and I ended up coming home alone. She's still married to him today. Dave was always around the house. He was a good kid and took care of us. He loved motorcycles. He went to Daytona Beach riding motorcycles. He loved hunting and fishing, really enjoyed the outdoors. He's married to Cindy and lives in Grand Rapids. My faith is a big part of my life. I don't know what I'd do without it. I get up in the morning and I look through my devotions. I have a wonderful family and I pray for them each morning. If anyone needs prayer, we always get together and we say prayers together. Our prayer life is very close in our family. It means so much to us. We have the same thing over the telephone. We share with each other our prayers. When Ray retired, we were snowbirds to Florida. We left in October and didn't return until April. I really missed Coopersville because we'd be gone for all winter. We bought a mobile home in 1995. I can't travel alone there anymore. We had a great couple of friends down there. We played cards and games, but we never had drinks. I would make gallons of coffee. In 1997, we went to California to visit my son Ray for Christmas. My husband Ray had a massive stroke and passed away. I was alone for 3.5 years, and then I married Sam Carnahan, who was also alone. I had been friends with his wife. He passed away 2022. If I had to do it all over again, I definitely would raise my family in Coopersville. It's been a good life.